never fucking happy.
I'm not actually.
You weren't here, so I tried to fix it.
I was at home waiting. I can't remember. I was waiting for a delivery or something, which never fucking turned up. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us on this windy, apparently, Thursday afternoon here down on the south coast of the UK. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel and saying hello and supporting us and watching the streams, all that kind of amazing stuff. I just replied to a commenter, actually pissed me off. My patience is very thin nowadays, Jay.
Why is that?
Because I can't watch it. It's last night's stream. Can't watch it because you keep saying thank you to people that give memberships. How dare I thank the people that literally mean we can do this? Literally mean we can do this. I shouldn't thank them at all.
I can't watch this because you're too busy thanking people.
Basically, yeah, basically.
But clearly, not someone that gifts money or subs.
Liam, mute. Mic is on. Yeah, mic's on. Everything's working. Look, you push the little thing in at the top.
Push the little thing in at the top.
I'm not muted for the reference chat. Yeah, the cable. Am I bouncing?
Talk? No, you're not bouncing.
Push the little cable in the top.
This one?
The yellow one in the top of the actual receiver.
Talk now?
Yeah, hello.
What's going on here?
Can you mute me a minute on the deck?
Oh. So, what is this? Audio problems? What are we now? Vanguard? Oi.
Right, now unmute me.
Unmute you?
Is it working now?
No?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Can you hear me now?
I mean, you can hear you, Joe, so you can sit and talk to people.
I don't know what's going on. Have you changed the channel? Alright, I'll go over here. I'll talk to the people. Hello, people. How are we doing? Someone gifted a thing. Thank you. Ian Inman.
I fixed it.
Necron Maniac.
I fixed it.
Becoming a Scald.
I fixed it.
There we go. Someone else can't watch the show now because we thanked them. You are great.
Yeah, okay. I don't know what happened there. The audio deck had a little gremlin. All I did was, you know the little slider?
Yeah.
For audio levels, I just went wiggle, wiggle, and it started working. Really fucking strange.
Is that why Carl does it then? He's like there, like,
We're back. We're back.
He's like a DJ, up and down all the time.
That's a reason to not be able to watch the stream, because of audio issues. Not because I thank people for gifting memberships and becoming members.
Yeah.
My patience lately with humans in general is really fucking slim nowadays.
Yeah. I got a new T-shirt from Primani.
Nirvana, yeah.
Nirvana, it's really nice.
Have you been a Nirvana fan in the past?
I have been a Nirvana
Have
fan.
you?
I went for a bit of a grunge phase.
Did you? Okay.
I did.
Yeah.
They've got loads of Nirvana T-shirts, but I got this one because it's quite long.
Okay.
But because I'm a girthier man,
Currently.
if I spend a lot of time with my arms in the air, which I'm often found doing,
You just don't care.
everyone can see my belly button.
Yeah.
And I thought a nice longer T-shirt also makes me look thinner.
Okay.
But the downside to having a longer T-shirt is when you sit down, it all kind of just like gathers up.
Yeah.
I
like big baggy hoodies and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and it's the same problem. You sit down, and you're like, it looks like I'm pregnant. Yeah. I mean, part of that was just me being fat, but you know. Thank you so much, Stick Monkey, for the 10 gifted memberships.
And thank you, Tammy Painter. I like that name.
Tammy Painter.
For one gifted membership.
What I was saying, chat, when you couldn't hear me, was that I just replied to a comment.
Thank you, Rob Paul, for one gifted membership.
I just replied to a comment before the stream because
I love you.
I don't understand why people do this. The stream is literally unwatchable because you keep thanking people for gifting memberships.
He either watches a lot of ungrateful people.
No,
Or
so
he just doesn't give.
So to be clear, he's not a member of the channel.
Oh, his great name.
So he's one of those freeloaders who's like, everything on YouTube should be free all the time. I mean, I could.
But how does he expect channels to last?
I could show him how much money goes into running this place and the channel, and be like, so this is just
We
invest this in
invite
my-
him here.
No, I'd rather not.
No, we invite him here, show him
Stamp on his
around,
throat. Okay.
and then we release him to the wilder creatures that run around outside the building. Let him out.
My patience with people in general lately is really fucking slim, Joe. I'm just getting annoyed with people, over-opinionated fucking arseholes. Anywho, talking about opinions, that's what our streams
Thank
are
you,
about.
Franks.
Frank's what?
He's become a Huskal. Are you like I want to feel like you're some kind of dive bar in America.
Thank you so much for becoming a Huskarl tier member. They were legend.
Lots of bikers hang around.
Yeah.
Or
For reference,
drivers.
chat, I'm going to keep thanking you for doing things like gifting memberships and super chatting, because without you gifting memberships and super chatting, we don't get to, and I mean both of us don't get to do this. I don't get to have the studio. I don't get to run factions and show off new things. I don't get to show you the new mission deck. I don't get to do any of that kind of stuff without your support. So when one person out of everybody who's commented in the last, I don't know how many years, bitches that I say thank you to people that gift memberships, guess what? I'm not going to stop, because it's incredibly important. In fact, memberships in general make up over 80% of our total channel revenue. And of that 80%, over 75% of that is actually gifted, which is mad, right? Absolute mad. So gifted is literally the main reason why the lights are on, why we have this studio, why we can do what we do. And it's a big thank you to you people. And so, yes, that's a little brief moment there where we're not going to talk about the actual topic, but I really want to say thank you, because it is important, because both Joe and I can't do this without you.
I have to go get a real job.
Yeah, that sounds
No,
awful.
thank you.
Yeah.
Did that.
Do you think you could go and do that nowadays? Do you think you could go back into a normal job now? I reckon I could, but I reckon there'd be a huge adjustment period.
Yeah. The thing is, though, because of my general lack of skill, right, I'd have to go and work in like a corner shop, or what I'd like to do is if I didn't do this, I'd like to go and work on a farm.
I'd love to work on a farm, actually.
I'd like to go and milk things.
I'm sure you would.
Yeah.
Oh, we still talking about the farm?
Yeah. Or there's a big dairy farm near me. I just spend all my time hanging around with cows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You do that in Southampton on a Saturday night.
Just pulling on bits.
Yeah, do that too.
Just
So a big thank you, everybody. The other way you can support us that's free of charge, of course, is if you hit the magical YouTube buttons for us. Hit the like button if you enjoy the content. Smash subscribe if you haven't already. And hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified when we do go live or drop a new video. Alternatively, if you do become a member of the Great Hall, you get yourself in Discord. We notify you in Discord when we schedule a stream, go live, and when we drop a new video. And it's significantly quicker normally than YouTube is at letting you know when those things happen. So becoming a member at the lower rate of $2 gets you, or £2 gets you into Discord, and that gets you at least access to that notification bot, and that's all you need. Obviously, Skull tier members have an additional benefit. They get an additional 5% off of our merch, and I'm thinking about other ways we can support Skull tier members, but they're also getting Sagas 5 days early, hoping that the Pleasant Kenobi one will finish being edited soon. And then the Kirioth one will start being edited shortly after. So you get to look forward to that. We've obviously got our other tiers like Jarl tier, which give you access to giveaways. Haskell tier for some behind the scenes when I remember. Thanes for the WhatsApp community, which is fucking incredible and bouncing constantly. And then Aces for if you want to reach around from Joe.
fact.
He's just said he likes milking things.
But I want to have one of those cool machines.
Yeah.
You like, pum, pum,
Oh, a
pum,
flashlight.
pum. Essentially.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Josh says that this stream is unwatchable because it's not opinionated enough yet.
I mean, it will be.
We'll get there, don't worry.
I don't think not being opinionated enough is something that has I've ever been described as.
No, I think you have too many opinions. Thank you, Carl of Hodgie. Thank us for our money, dancing monkeys.
Absolutely, I will.
We
Thank
will
you,
dance to the tune of your beat. And thank you, Castellan. 15 out of 50. Are you able to 17 out of 50 this week at all? What the fuck are you talking about?
So, when I started eating healthy, going back to the gym, Cass said to me, you won't make 10. You won't make 10 sessions in a row. You give up at 6 or 7 like you did last time, right? So, I made 10 sessions. And he said if I made 10 sessions, he'd become a Thane.
Yeah.
He's now a Thane, and he's in the only Thanes terrorising them, right?
Yeah.
He then said, well done, you made 10. I bet you won't make 50. And he said, if you make 50, I'll donate 50 memberships. I'm on 15. 16 is on Saturday.
Are you doing, what, 3 a week?
16 is on Saturday. 17 will be Tuesday. 18 will be Thursday.
Gives him a couple months to save up.
He's going to need to because I'm going to hit it because I'm fucking loving it right now.
Yeah.
But thanks, Cass, for the 2. You're a legend, right? Anywho, today what we're going to talk about, I came into the studio and I was like, and this is part of the content creator dilemma sometimes. I'm like, what do we talk about at the moment? Can't talk about that because no one else knows about that yet. Can't talk about that because no one else knows about that yet. Can't talk about that because no one else knows about that yet.
Can't talk about that because it's extremely dangerous to talk about.
So there's a load of stuff we can't talk about, Joe. What we're going to talk about? It's like I don't actually know what we can do as a topic. And then I thought about it, and I saw that on the table. The new chapter approved. Yes, the new chapter approved mission deck from GW, the Pariah Nexus mission pack. And I thought actually, although we did a little bit of it, I guess, kind of on Tuesday when Mr. the Kirov was here, we haven't actually covered this as a review or a stream yet. Now, I will confess, I have kind of stopped doing the NDAs lifted at 10 o'clock, here's my review, because I feel like it's nowadays a bit pointless. If you do that content nowadays and you look at the numbers afterwards, you're like, cool, no one's come and watched it because of a couple of reasons normally. Everyone else is racing to get it out at the same time, or someone's leaked it 2 days beforehand.
I find the big problem is, on a Saturday, for instance, when there's like a codex or something that comes out, there's too much choice. Because every content creator and their dog is throwing out a video at 10 o'clock on a Saturday. And it's almost like having too many people in a room screaming at you.
I'm gonna go a step further as well, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go a step further. I think that for a lot of people, a review, I have an opinion on the Sisters Codex right now, okay? My opinion on the Sisters Codex right now is it's bust of shit and it's really powerful at the moment, as it stands.
Fact.
Right? Yeah, so that's what I think.
I read it and I was like...
And I think I could make a video, or could have made a video that goes live at 10 o'clock on Saturday that says, I think this is broken and it's too powerful. But actually I haven't really played with it yet, and so I have an opinion based solely on reading it, and therefore I think the reviews may be a bit shit because I haven't actually taken the time to use it, to play it against different factions.
The Sisters, I think, because a lot of reviews are kind of downplaying the Codex, right, as a whole. But the thing is, though, Sisters are one of those armies that started off very strong in the beginning of the edition, and then people just kind of forgot about them because Eldar
Who's
existed.
Who's downplaying the Codex? Who have you seen downplay the Codex?
Every time I've looked at a couple reviews from the big boy channels, should we say, the big boy channels, and they're like, it's all right, I'm not keen on some of the changes, and this is a bit, like, it's not super great. And I'm like, you're on crack.
Would these typically be people that
have a competitive standpoint?
I find that there's normally three types of people that do this, Joe. People that have a competitive standpoint, people that are typically just always positive about GW anyway, or people that happen to have been playing that faction for the last 3 months and they're like, oh, it's fine. Of course it is. I wonder why you were playing it for the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Odd that. Odd.
But, you know, I read it as someone who has a relatively average level of kind of...
Average length?
Average length. A little slip there. I have about an average kind of level of competency.
Okay.
Right, and I was like, this is a bit nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I read it and I was like, we're going to be living in a woman's world for a while.
Yeah.
Because I was like in the hands of the right people. So for instance, like Eldar are a bit of a slump at the moment because their points are too high and they keep getting changes. If you're an Eldar player, you just sidestep into Sisters and just be way better.
Yeah.
Because Sisters do everything that Eldar does, but better.
Yeah. At the moment, yes.
Yeah.
Of course, GW have done their usual thing where we don't yet know what the points of the new book will be because you can never trust the points in the back of the book.
Yeah.
And that could make a significant change. So at the moment, I'm basing it off of the current points levels because that's what we know. It could change, of course. But that's not what we're here to talk about tonight. We're not here to talk about that. But I'm just explaining why I don't do reviews. Because there's that issue that we just talked about, or there is the fact that it gets leaked 2-3 days beforehand and then I put all that effort into a video and it's kind of pointless.
I think, and what a lot of people do on a Saturday is they go, find their favourite channel, do the review, because normally a lot of the channels go, sit there with the book open going, here's page 1, here's page 2.
It's also not a good review,
here's
is it?
page 3. And they go through the entire thing, so you don't really need to buy the book afterwards because you've read the entire book on YouTube. And then basically what happens is they go, cool, I don't need to watch anyone else's reviews because I've already got it. I'll just watch bat reps now.
But here's an interesting question, actually, chat. This is a genuine question that I want to know the answer to, because I don't think I've ever asked this question before. But how many of you actually place any kind of weight or get really excited for content creators reviewing things like codexes? Because I don't think I've ever watched one, legitimately watched one.
I'm going to be honest. I've watched 1 or 2, mainly because we've had access to it for 2 weeks, or a couple of weeks, or a month, or whatever, okay. and I've not read it. and I've not even looked at it, and I've gone, I need someone to tell me about this because I'm using it in a few days' time. so I've gone cool, and then so that's what I've done. But even then, the thing about codex reviews is they're not laid out in a sterile environment. There's always a bias to the book, the reviews as well, because someone would go, this unit's terrible because the previous iteration was much better, and you're like, the previous version was broken as shit. Yeah. They've just made it balanced, and now what's happening is units that were good before are being made way better, and people will be like, but it's not as good as it should have been. Why can't they reroll all hits, reroll all wounds, advance and charge, get +1 to wound, have fly? Why aren't they movement 10? And then it becomes a shopping list of everyone going, why isn't it just good enough?
I don't know. I've never really watched them. I'm looking at the chat. I'm reading the chat come through right now. It seems like actually quite a lot of people do watch them because I've contemplated whether I used to do review format where I do sort of my 3 hot takes, my 3 favourite units, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I could put time and effort back into doing those again, but I don't know if it's worth doing that. And I'm just trying to find out whether people think that they would like us to do it or not.
When we stopped doing it, or when I say the royal we, by me, I mean you. Mm-hmm. When you stopped doing them, we were living in a time where everything was being leaked.
Yeah.
Like 2-3 weeks before. And it was like, well, what's the point?
Literally 100%.
And also, the other issue now is that we've gone into a 2-week pre-order cycle.
Yeah.
So we tend to see, on the Saturday, massive spike, or on the Tuesday, first stream, massive spike. Next stream, also massive spike, was slightly smaller. And then by the next Tuesday, you're running a different attachment, and it's still high, but it's much lower.
Yeah.
So you see a thing, and then a massive a downturn, because everyone's had their fill early on.
Okay.
The difficult thing is when a codex comes out with multiple detachments, a lot of channels all tend to end up just running the same detachment all the time.
Yeah, they do. Normally the strongest one as well. Yeah. That's something that also kind of like, I feel like one of the problems I have with reviews in general at the moment is that it's not necessarily a review of the whole book. It's more a case of let's find the strongest stuff. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't care about that.
Well, that's kind of the general online mentality of all things nowadays. What's the best attachment? What's the best units? You look at Call of Duty, right? New battle pass comes out. You tend to get 2 new guns in it. Everyone's like, what do they do? Are they better than the existing guns?
Yeah.
Do I bother trying to get them, or do I use the gun I'm currently using? What's the best attachment?
I think a better way to review it, and it's falling down again every stream.
How?
Every stream.
What are you doing?
Every stream.
My
deer just tries to hug me. I'll fix it in a second. I typically find as well with reviews, I would rather do this. I would rather have a sister's book and do this with you, even if it's pre-recorded, and discuss the book. Yeah. Because I feel like when I look at something and go, that's ridiculous, you might go, actually it's not, because think about this, and this. And I'm like, oh, actually, that's a fair point. Yeah. I feel like when you live in your own headspace, when you review a product and you're the only person that's got access to it, and our NDA says we're not allowed to talk to anybody else about it outside of our own channel, like it's very easy to hyper-focus on certain points and go, this is dumb, this isn't very good, this looks terrible. And someone else can come along and be like, you say it looks terrible, but have you thought about what happens when this, and this happens? And you go, oh, actually, that's quite spicy. And I feel like that's a much healthier way for a review to be done, is if we have a discussion about it, which also would then mean only Joe and him are often to do those kinds of reviews, which isn't always easy. Possible maybe in the future. We're thinking about adding an extra filming day in. Possible maybe, but I think it's a better way of doing a review than here's a book, here's all the pages, here's the most broken stuff, go have fun. I don't like that.
Luton says, I'm right, I can quit now, I'm done. I'm finished.
But he also says COD or FPS meta in general is a very, very good example. But I mean, again, this is, I think, sometimes can be attributed to the competitive sort of focus that 40K has got nowadays, where everybody wants to know what the latest broken thing is because they want to run the strongest, so when they go to an event, they have a chance of winning. Whereas, and we've been guilty of it, I absolutely shit-talked the Night Lords attachment in the Chaos Space Marine Codex, and hindsight's a wonderful thing. Hindsight is always 20/20, and I look back and I'm like, but narratively, it does sort of fit the narrative at least. Yeah. Like, narratively, it's right.
It could be interesting now. We've started to see changes in in the mission pack
Yeah.
in terms of how you achieve doing things. And if it's a battle line, like it could be a lot better.
Yes.
Like it could be more efficient at stopping people scoring. The problem is that detachments where you have to jump through a lot of hoops to achieve something, people are like, it's too much work.
But
On the easy win.
But from a narrative perspective, when you're playing with that, like it's super cool when it goes off.
Oh yeah,
From
it's
a narrative
great.
perspective,
Yeah.
and I think this is the focus on competitive, and I'm not blaming competitive players. It's not competitive players that are to fault here. It's the company creating the rule set. But then you look at it and you go, oh, I need this to happen and this to happen and this to happen to have this thing happen, which isn't all that powerful. So I don't really care. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something else. Someone was in the stream last night saying he plays Dark Angels. All of his friends are saying, don't take Dark Angels detachments, take Space Marine ones because they're better. And he's like, no, I'm a Dark Angels player. And I'm like, yeah, stick to your guns, mate. Fucking 100%.
Yeah,
that's the cool thing to do.
I have Blood Angels and I always run the Blood Angels. Or I've got Flesh Terrors and I always run the Blood Angels detachment because that's what they are.
Yeah.
To me, I run my Raven Guard in the terrible Raven Guard detachment because that's what they are. That's what they do.
Yeah.
You know, the problem is I'm very much stuck in my ways.
No.
Yeah, and it's difficult to get out of them. I don't like change, but like it just feels wrong me taking Blood Angels and running them in a vehicle detachment because that's not what the Blood Angels archetype is.
No, I get it. I get it.
Like I think I looked into the Dark Angels codex and I was like, I really like the differing detachment. We're doing the Hellstorm event, and I wrote a Dark Angels list, and I was like, it could be fun to take. But, no.
I like Dark Angels.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We've kind of sidetracked for 25 minutes there.
Yeah.
But what we're here to talk about is this little beauty that GW sent us. Big shout out to Games Workshop.
Quickly.
Yeah, hang on. Big shout out to Games Workshop for sending us this. This is what we're here to talk about today, the new chapter-approved Pariah Nexus mission deck. I have thoughts and feelings on this. I've read through it 3 or 4 times, because there's a lot to read through, actually, if you take into consideration all the secondaries, all the mission rules, etc. We played a version of it, kind of, on Tuesday. But we didn't really get to showcase it properly because John bought his all-tanks list, which, by the way, cool as shit.
Yeah.
And he came away from that having had his pants pulled down, and I didn't even spit on it. And he messaged me yesterday and went, I had so much fun, I'd love to come and do it again. Proof that you don't necessarily have to win to enjoy yourself and have fun.
No.
We'll talk about this in a minute. Before we talk about this, we're going to catch up with chat.
Yep.
Big shout out to everybody who's gifting and super chatting. It's amazing. Like I said, it's how we keep the lights on here. So thank you so much. If you have a super important point you want to make about this mission deck, about codex releases, about reviews, etc., if you want to guarantee we see it, a super chat's the best way of doing that. If you don't have anything to say but you want to support us anyway, a single gifted is amazing, 5 gifted is special, 10 is wow, and then 20 and above, you're just mental and we love you. But that's the ways you can support us. Do you want to jump in then, Joe?
Thank you, Zenon, for becoming a Jarl. What you're talking about? Thank you, Stick Monkey. It says, wait, it's your fault he's back. New gyms were bad.
Who's back?
Talking about Cass.
Oh, yeah, it is my fault. He's back. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Sean.
Thank you, Brandon Lagaze. Or Lagaze. Or Lagaze. Lagaze. It's like a greeting in a foreign language, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lagaze.
Yeah, like namaste is where you've got that from.
Yeah.
Namaste. Yeah, okay.
Or Lagaze. Like something like a lady of the night would say to tempt you across the street. Lagaze.
That's not what they say around here, mate.
No.
Yeah.
No.
They
talk like sailors.
They're a different class around here. You got 20 quid?
Got any crack?
Do you like it with no teeth?
We're in a beautiful part of the country.
We're fucking not round here. But it was cheaper.
Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. I love you long time.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Castello. Said, begrudgingly, another £5 went into the tin.
Yeah, every time I post an update now, he puts a £5 in the tin, so when it comes to it, he can afford the 50 gifted.
I like to imagine there's like, you get those piggy banks.
Yeah.
Like loads of like £5 notes just like stuffed in the top. I like that.
Yeah. Like your pants.
Thank you, Robin Ellis, for 5 gifted memberships. Love you. Thank you, Stick Monkey. He says, the last broken thing is my Admech loving soul.
Aww.
Poor old Admech.
I really want Admech to be good. I had you paint that whole army because I kind of love the Admech aesthetic. And they went, cool, now you've got your army, Here's some rules that you're never going to want to use.
I'm listening to the sequel to Gene Father at the moment. What is it called, Gene Father? On Audible, where it's Belisarius Call versus...
Use your words, Joe.
what's his name?
Dave. Frank.
He's got a
Harry.
stick, got the things on his back.
Fabulous Bill.
Fabulous Bill, yeah. Fabulous Bill versus Belisarius Call. It's a great book.
Yeah.
John Banks, the narrator, does an incredible Belisarius Call because he just makes him sound like a mental, crazy old man all the time. And that's what I love about him.
Which he kind of is.
Yeah. My favourite thing about Belisarius Call is that he picks his personalities on the day.
Yeah.
And then he gets into situations, he's like, oh, I wish I didn't pick these ones.
I don't see humans like that.
Yeah. It's great. Thank you, Dan Skippy, for 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, Ian Inman, Necromantic. So I'm just going to call you Ian. Losing once might be fun. Losing over and over because your army is subpar or your opponent is broken is disheartening, even in casual games.
I strong agree. We talked about this briefly last night. If you watched the stream last night, or if you haven't, you can catch up with it. It's still out on demand. We talked about this last night about how not all codexes are created equal, and I said, and people talked about balance updates and how they could fix updates and how they could. I said categorically, the answer is don't put out a shit book in the first place. It's not that difficult. They've shown it's not that difficult to write good books. Sisters, Orcs, Necrons to a point. They've shown it's not that hard to write good books, but they also show that they're capable of writing absolute dog shit. Admech, Custodes, Genes to the Cult. It's not hard. Don't write those shit ones, write the good ones. There's such a disparity. They're not even close. There's such a disparity in the quality of codex writing. Surely they're saying... I would be very surprised if there wasn't a pattern into why one was one strength and one was another strength that they can't at some point solve.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It is disheartening when you want to play your specific faction. Some people, GW said in 10th edition, one of the most amazing things about 10th edition is it doesn't matter if your army's painted blue, red or green, you can take whichever detachment you want. And that is a good thing. But if you're a Salamanders fan or a Raven Guard fan or a Night Lords fan and you want to run a detachment that pretty much looks like it's designed for that particular sub-faction, you shouldn't be punished for then choosing to do that. And I do think that sometimes there are certain factions out there where you are punished because it's just a bad detachment.
Yeah.
And so what we now see is they just don't get used.
Here's a question. Do you think, at 10th edition, everyone said, because it was a fact, the Games Workshop had taken all close combat armies out into a field and shot them in the back of the head?
They've certainly felt that way, yes.
Yeah, right. Do you think that they're almost overcompensating now? They've gone too hard in the opposite direction. They've gone like Sisters, not as good now. Orcs, not as good now because combat's a bit. Now they've gone. Have a fort, field okay.
I honestly believe it's very easy with this giant shipping tanker that is Games Workshop to over course correct. I think it's very easy to do that. I think that's what we're seeing. I think we're seeing them over course correct. And I think if this is the centre line and they're going this way with things and they try and correct. When you're out here and you correct, you think that bringing you back here will bring you back onto line, right? What happens is you go bang straight through again, and then you have to keep course correcting, and you end up with this weird like jig-jag of course correcting and slowly but surely you get closer and closer to the middle. Whereas what you want to do is if they're out here, they want to course correct like that, so it kind of gently drifts back in. So when they get here, they can then course correct and stay on course, right? But they're a giant tanker, so it's very easy to over course correct. So I think they are over course correcting. I go back to last night's stream. Don't release dog shit in the first place. They're never ever going to be in a place. They could be the best company in the world who really look after their fans. I don't think they're ever going to be in a place where they release every codex and every codex we go, everything in that book is a good job.
Do you know what the best thing for a codex to happen to a codex is that no one talks about it at all? Because it's good then. It's not shit, so you're not going to say it's shit. It's not broken.
Yeah, we talked about this last time.
How often do people talk about the Tower Codex since that came out?
Yeah.
No, radio silence.
Because it's kind of where it should be, roughly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's almost what you want. The Chaos Codex has come out. No one's talking about it anymore.
That's what I said. That's exactly what I said last night.
Yeah.
So I think that they're overcorrecting. I do think that they're overcorrecting. I understand why they're overcorrecting. And I don't think it's ever going to be possible to release an edition and codexes and everything's perfectly fine and everything's balanced straight away. Literally impossible to do that, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But But it's possible, I reckon, to have a margin of error which is significantly smaller than the current margin of error, which is fucking monumentally wide. At the moment, at least. If you look at the difference in Sisters and Gene Stealers Cult, if you look at the difference in Orcs and Custodians, if you look at the difference in Necrons and Admech, the disparity in those two books it's a chasm. It's not close. They are so different. So different.
Can I ask you a real pressing question?
17.
When you make tea, why do I only ever get like half a cup?
You don't
Or
get
like
half a cup.
2/3 of a cup.
You don't get half a cup. You had plenty of a cup. And then someone moved the sofa, and I came round because you'd moved the sofa and kicked the table, and then half your cup went onto the table. You got a full cup, Joe, and I make sure you get a full cup nowadays because you always used to whinge about not having a full cup. When I leave about that much at the top of the cup so that you don't spill it. But I made a full cup, I then kicked the table because you moved the sofa, and then it went everywhere, which is what I used to be able to avoid by not filling the cup up.
Bear in mind, I wasn't moving the sofa when he was walking around. Like I shoved it into him.
No, but it didn't need. It's not moved for the last 2 months. I don't understand how it was in your way.
It had moved.
It hasn't moved in the last 2 months.
It all moved. I came in here, it was all topsy-turvy.
Anyway, we've got some more members to say thank you for. Go on, do your job. I want to get onto this mission deck. We're half an hour in already.
Thank you, Evan Tominello, for 1 gifted membership. Thank you, Neil Woodall, for 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, Kev Thacker, for 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, White55, for 5 gifted memberships. You are beautiful people.
What does that say? 46? 44?
97. No, 44.
44. 97 is the likes, Joe.
To 293 people.
I'll press that button again and it'll go over 100 likes, right?
Yeah. You're great. If you have been gifted a membership, please go and join our Discord, !Discord in the chat, or link in the description below. Say thank you to the people that have gifted them to you. And the people that have been gifted, I hope that when you're out and about, you see someone fall over in a hilarious way. But I hope they don't get hurt.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want them to be in pain, but just
I
like
don't
funny.
know. Other people's pain's often quite funny.
I know.
Yeah.
This is really terrible to say.
I can tell that because of some of the reels you send me.
Yeah. Or I hope you see a bully get comeuppance.
Yeah.
There was a really good one.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
There's not any gambles.
We'll have all of you. Thank you. Thank you, man with an account called Erebus. 4 a.m., 11 p.m. You don't make it easy for us Catachan brackets Aussie assholes to stalk Joe, do you?
No.
No.
It's your own fault, though.
I don't know why you'd want to live in Australia.
Yeah, it'd be weird being upside down the whole time.
Yeah. All the water just falls out your toilet bowl.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for
also,
all the gifts and super chats.
I want plastic Catachans. I finished my Catachan book. Now I want Catachans.
Okay, we're going to talk about this now, right? This is the new offering from Games Workshop. It's chapter approved Pariah Nexus. It's a big, thick, chunky boy. I do think, and thank you Games Workshop for sending it to us for free. This is currently on pre-order on the Games Workshop website, or if you're in the UK or Europe, you can order from Element, !Element in the chat. If you order this through them, we get a 5% kickback, which means you feel like your money is doing more, because I do think this is slightly overpriced. It went up on GW, I think, for £20 and 50 pence. £20 for a pack of cards seems like a lot, considering that the old Leviathan deck most people said had got tired and a bit boring. I had a comment actually on the stream last night from a similar person who said, you all say that the edition needs to be out for longer, but then you say the Leviathan's got tiring. It's a distinct difference between an edition and a mission pack, when the mission pack is literally the only official way you have to play the game.
We had the chapter approved, which was every 6 months.
Yeah, which I don't mind Leviathan being 12 months if they give us other ways of playing the game, but they don't. If we had a form of open war missions, like 6 open war missions, if we also had some Maelstrom missions, which is why we had to make our own, etc., then I feel like it wouldn't have got so tiring. But it only got tiring because it's the only way to play. Now, if you play once or twice a month for 12 months, maybe it doesn't get too tiring. When you play as frequently as we do, or if you watch as frequently as some of you watch us, that's how it then potentially gets a bit tiring. This is their new offering. GW have stated that they're going to be updating the mission pack every 12 months. So this is in place for 12 months from the point in which it goes live, roughly speaking. So we should probably assume that it'll be replaced this time next year. This is what we've got to look forward to for 12 months. It makes sense for us on the channel to be running this new mission pack. We still have our Maelstrom cards, and we'll probably be using that every now and again as well.
I think for 12 months, 20 quid's not bad. If you think
maybe,
right,
okay, maybe.
If you think right,
but you're then putting the value on the amount of time enjoyment rather than the actual physical value
people
of the product.
spend £100 on Call of Duty games, and those things are terrible on release. and you don't get a year out of one of them.
But that doesn't. But something else being terrible value doesn't, in comparison, make necessarily this good value.
Well, I suppose you spend £35 now on a codex, which you
37 now. Joe, prices have gone up.
Yeah. You spend that much money on a codex and you don't even know if you're going to be able to use it in the next edition. You don't even know if the words printed on that paper are going to be relevant for the next 3 months.
It just is an additional cost to play, and I don't think they should give this away for free. But you have to have your rule book, which is also out of date. You need PDFs. Then you have to have your codex, which you probably want to log into the app, which you need a subscription for because your codex is probably out of date. And now you have to buy this mission data. Like, it's just layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of spend more money with us, spend more money with us, spend more money with us, spend more money with us. That's what they're doing constantly, and it annoys me. That being said, right, so I think it's perhaps a little overpriced in my personal opinion. Having said that, I don't know things like manufacturing costs, so perhaps actually there's not much profit in these. But when you consider that independents are selling them significantly cheaper, there probably is profit in these. That being said, that's the negative out of the way. And I literally mean that is the main negative out of the way.
Yeah.
Because I've read through this a few times as a mission deck, and I think this is very good. I think this is better than Leviathan. I think it's had some refinement. And that is even considering that there is a significantly heavier focus in this on things like actions, which I have previously said, I hate actions. Actions are for virgins. I don't like actions, but this has done actions in a better way. And there's reasons for this, okay? We'll go into these reasons. So what do you get in your mission deck? Well, it'll be no surprise to you because it's similar to Leviathan. You get a big wedge of cards.
Nice.
In it, you get 6 objective markers, pop-out objective markers with a little Necron head on it because it's Pariah Nexus. Use these, don't buy the expensive ones that they're selling that are like our big round ones because they are literally shit and are not worth the money, okay? They're shiny, they can tear, they have got an anti-slip surface, they're not worth the money. Games Workshop's first foray into mass-producing large objective markers, I don't think they're very good.
Yeah, because what's weird about those ones is they feel like the green side of a Brillo pad. And I'm like, touching it gives me goosebumps touching that thing. So it's got bad finger feel for a start, right? And then, if you think right, they would charge you 40 quid for nice neoprene faction-specific ones.
Yeah.
Why not just release those?
Yeah.
En masse.
So, yeah, agree. So you have this big, thick deck. In this deck, you get primary missions, you get mission rules, you get deployment maps, you get 2 secondary objective decks, 2 secret mission decks, and a little pamphlet that tells you how you play this particular mission deck, right? And it's... They're just done better than last time. They are just done better than last time by quite a long way. Not only are some of the rules been refined, but even the way they lay out certain secondaries, which I don't know if you can see that there, they give you when you do it, how many points you score, etc. It's much clearer than it was before.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is better.
It is no longer simplified yet simple.
Yeah. Now I'm not going to bore you with the secondary missions because we're going to be going through secondary missions when we play the games. Some of your old favourites are here. Some tweaks to some of them. Some are new ones that require you to do things. Recover assets is a new one, for example. You've got Establish Locus, which is a new one. Sabotage, which is a new one. I actually kind of like them. A lot of them require you to do actions though. But this time they decided it's a really bad idea that every time we want someone to do an action, we write this monumentally sized paragraph that says, you're not eligible to shoot, you can't do this, you can't. Now what they've done is they've just called it a fucking action, like it was in the last edition. Absolute shock, right? And then there's in the secondary.
I can remember when 10th edition came out and we're like, we're going to do an action, not an action.
Yeah. And then each of the secondaries explains what you need to do, how you need to do it, and when it achieves, right? When, end of turn. So it tells you that there's an action, when, end of turn, that kind of stuff. Recover assets, action, starts your shooting phase, units, 2 or more units from your army, completes, end of your opponent's next turn. If completed, the units recover the assets, and it tells you the points. Laid out really nicely. Big fan, actually, big fan. We won't go through the secondaries, like I said, because we're going to be using those in our games of 40k in the coming weeks, and I should imagine we'll get through most of the secondaries, and you'll see what most of them do. So, just make sure you keep coming and hang out on the streams, right?
Yeah.
We then have...
Don't ever leave us.
Don't ever leave us. We then have our secret mission decks. These are a course over correction, right? So gambits existed. I know a lot of you are like, what are you on about gambits? Gambits existed in the previous edition of the rule pack in the Leviathan mission deck.
Do you remember when they gave us the statistics on these? When only 3% of people at LVO attempted to do a gambit.
Yes, and?
Of those 3%, only 3% achieved them.
Yeah. Which tells us gambits are shit. I'll be honest with you, I was instantly shocked that 3% of people had tried them. We've never used them.
Yeah.
We've never had a mechanic to use them. In fact, I've had to update the stream on Sunday and Tuesday, so we now have a mechanic in our stream setup to be able to use secret missions now. We never had it before, we've had to add it in. And that's because these now are... It's a course over correction, Joe, right?
Yeah.
So what these secret missions do now, what we're going to do is I'm going to talk through these rules for a minute, for about 5-10 minutes. So sorry, you'll have to listen for a moment. And then once I've talked through them, what we're going to then do is Joe and I will have a conversation about what we do like, what we don't like, etc. Okay. So you've got 4 secret missions now. If you choose, so at the end of battle round 3, starting with the player who went second, if you're scoring less points than your opponent, victory points than your opponent, you can choose a secret mission. Basically,
isn't it equal to or less?
So basically, whoever's losing in battle round 3, end of battle round 3, gets to pick a secret mission.
Yeah.
Right? No, you have to be losing.
Not
Not equal to. You have to be losing, right? If you do that, your primary is then capped at 20 victory points. But you don't stop scoring it. You can keep scoring primary, but it's capped at 20 victory points. Okay?
Okay.
And then you unlock these. Each one of these is worth 20 victory points. Okay? So if you still score your primary and you manage to get to 20, and you do this, you'll get 40.
Yeah.
So your punishment is you can't get the 50 that you otherwise could get from doing a full set of primary missions, right? But if you look at it and go, I'm not going to get 50
So
anyway.
you do these instead of primary, but you still score secondaries?
But you still score primary as well. So you can still score primary in battle round 5, but you're capped at 20 in total. So if you score 35 primary, you're capped at 20, and then you can do this as well, right? So if you look at that and go, there's no way I can score 40. In fact, what you want to be doing is there's no way I can score 40. Can I do one of these? If the answer is yes, then you do one because you get 40. But listen to how difficult these are, Joe, right? Talk about course over correction. So the first secret mission is called War of Attrition, right? When is this completed? End of the battle. I'll give you a little hint, right? They're all completed at the end of the battle, okay?
Nice.
One or more battle line units from your army are within your opponent's deployment zone, and one of the following conditions applies. Point 1, there are no battle line units from your opponent's army on the battlefield. Or point 2, every battle line unit from your opponent's army that is on the battlefield is within your opponent's deployment zone. 20 points. So if you have all of your battle line units in your deployment zone, and I have one of my battle line units in your deployment zone, I get 20 points. If you've got no battle line units on the table anymore, and I've got one of my battle line units in your deployment zone, I get 20 points. Not too bad, right?
No.
Although
that one's really easy to achieve if your opponent hasn't taken any battle line whatsoever.
Unbroken Wall is another one. Guess when it achieves? End of the battle, right?
Nice.
You control 3 or more objective markers that are not within your deployment zone. 20 points. So at that point, you go, well, I haven't been able to...
Mad Larkin says it's tied or losing.
Oh, is it tied? I don't think it... I'll have to look at it in a minute. I thought it was just losing. Okay. Shatter Cohesion. In time. We can wait. Shatter Cohesion, right? End of the battle. There are no units from your opponent's army on the battlefield, so you've tabled them. You get 20 points. Or every unit from your opponent's army that is on the battlefield is either battle shocked, below half strength, or more than 3 inches away from an objective marker. Okay?
Yeah.
And then we've got Command Insertion. End of the battle, your warlord is in range of 1 or more objective markers in your opponent's deployment zone, and you control it. 20 points. So they're significantly easier than gambits. They're not easy.
No.
They're significantly easier than gambits, right? Which is good, because we never saw gambits be used. Okay?
That last one's a hard one if you've got a really, really shit warlord.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah. Like it would be doable with, say, Abaddon.
Maybe even Angron.
Or Angron, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they're really good. They're not easy, but they're significant. This is a better go at gambits.
Easy.
Battle round, second time round, this is a better go at gambits overall.
Yeah.
Okay. one of those was talking about battle line. That's important because these are secondary missions, not secondary missions. What?
I'm going for a week.
Okay.
Oh,
Battle line is important because if we get rid of the primary missions, we go into the mission rules. And the mission rules are the things that kind of add a extra kind of thing to the game that you're playing. And we used to have things like 2CP reroll, or you'd have deploy an extra objective. You had Chilling Reign. Some of those still exist. Chilling Reign's now gone, right? Chilling Reign is no longer in the game. And I think that's probably a good thing because it means you always have a mission rule. I think too many people just like Chilling Reign. It's easier, okay? A lot of these now require... Has he muted himself? Yes, thank God for that. A lot of these now require you to have battle line units or give you bonuses for having battle line units. Now, I've already said to you that a ton of the extra secondary objectives that exist in this mission deck require you to do actions now. And I have previously disliked actions for a number of reasons. Typically, if I buy or use something that's super cool, I want to do something super cool. I don't want to be stood there just doing an action. But some of these kind of circumvent that restriction, at least. For example, so Inspired Leadership is one that gives your Warlord a bit more of a purpose. You just basically get +1 to your Battle Shock test. Prepared Positions, players can target their battle line units with the Go to Ground and the Heroic Intervention stratagem for 0 CP, but can't do so if you already use that stratagem. Raise Banners, battle line units within range of an objective, raise banners. Rapid Escalation, battle line units can go into strategic reserves. Smoke and Mirrors isn't battle line, that's just strategic reserve. Stalwarts, battle line units can perform an action, and they're still eligible to shoot. Battle line units can perform actions whilst they're within engagement range. Swift action, battle line units can advance or fall back and still eligible to perform an action. There's a couple that's all the mission rules. There's like 5 or 6 in there that basically have a focus on battle line. And this is what Joe and I were talking about before. That's important because basically what it's doing is it's encouraging you to take battle line. One of our biggest complaints, if you look at the stream that we did literally last Thursday, one of our biggest complaints is that armies don't really kind of feel like armies anymore. No. Because people are like, well, why would I take termagants, really? I don't need, that's maybe a bad example, but why do I need to take termagants? Because they're shit. I'm just not going to take them. I just take better units. Yeah. There's a lot of things in there now that mean battle line units are actually not too bad. And if you take into consideration that the secondary missions, the secondary objectives at least, a lot of them require you to do actions. If you have a mission rule that says that a battle line unit is still eligible to shoot if it's doing an action and it can do an action in engagement range, they suddenly become quite a utilitarian tool. It makes like things like fire warriors and breachers like quite good and efficient. Yeah. My biggest issue with it is that some armies battle line are really, really good, and some of them die in droves. Like prime example, breachers and fire warriors. A toughness 3, 1 wound model with a 4-up save, right? They're gonna die quick. Yep. Right. Gaunts, like there might be like 40, 50 of them on the table, but a toughness 3 model with a 5-up save. Like killing them is like an afterthought, but it's very, very easy. Yeah. And then you look at like Chaos Space Marines, like Legionnaires. 2 wounds, toughness 4 with a 3-up save, but you can give them -1 AP, you know? When they're in cover, they've got a 3-up save still. Yeah, you know, they're still like they're pretty durable. They're really durable, hard to shift, and their inbuilt rules are generally quite good, and they've got access to a lot of very good weapons. That doesn't compare, like in any way, to 20 guardsmen. No. Yeah, I just kind of my worry is that some armies will feel the pain of this. Possibly. Absolutely possibly. Yeah. But I also think that with the increased focus on actions in general, even guard armies are like, well, I want to take more battle line because they're just cheap units to go and do those sorts of things. The reason why I say that is because what people have done in the past, if they've made utility units that are good at doing what they do, but also have an option to do an action. Yeah. For example, they'll make sure there's a single assault weapon in a unit, right? And I used to hate that kind of composition. This is the other thing that comes in the mission pack, right? This is your Pariah Nexus rules, okay? This is the thing that I think a lot of people skip over and don't read. No. Cool, we've got new primaries, new secondaries, new deployment maps. I've got everything I need. I'm not going to bother with this. This has made some pretty big changes, actually. Some changes that I don't think I was expecting.
No.
We're going to skim through the changes now, okay? Because some of these are quite interesting. So we have the muster army, determine mission, read the mission, place objective markers, create battlefield, determining attacker and defender. Right? You then have select secondary missions, okay? And it says in select secondary missions that you can pick fixed missions or you can pick tactical missions, okay? And you shuffle your mission deck and you draw them randomly, okay?
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is we have yet to find, maybe it's because I've skimmed all this, but we purchased software, scoreboard software for Titans, right?
Yeah.
And we drew a card the other day, and it was like, if you're using tactical, gain an extra victory point. I was like, I don't think it says that, Brom. I've read it twice, I don't think it says that, and I have a relatively eidetic memory. And he looked at the card, and he looked in here, he's like, no, it doesn't say that anywhere. So there are tweaks where, if it's tactical, you gain a victory point. In the old edition, that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
So it's 4, it's not 5, okay? And I haven't found something that tells me that is different yet, okay? New orders, end of the command phase, draw a different objective marker, okay, cool. At the end of the player's turn, you score victory points, blah, blah, blah. That's no real different. Cool, okay. Declare battle formations is pretty normal. What goes in transports? People forget this quite often. When you go to an event, or even if you step up to the table, you don't have to, in your army list, say, this leader's attached to this unit and they're in this transport. You literally do that at step 8. So you can walk up to the table and look at your opponent and be like, I actually want that unit in the Rhino instead.
Yeah.
You can do that, that's perfectly fine. But people miss that because they don't read this leaflet, actually. Deploy armies is pretty standard, right? Redeploy units is pretty standard. Determine first step, all that kind of stuff is now pretty standard. That's pretty similar to Leviathan mission deck. And then we get into some of the changes. The secret missions we've talked about. I have just skimmed it, chat. You are, in fact, right. You can be losing or equal to victory points. But it's if your primary mission victory points total is less than or equal to your opponent's, you can choose to undertake a secret mission if you do. The equal to is important because what I was asking before is, well, hang on a minute, why? So actually, our software's slightly wrong here. Okay. New orders isn't once per game anymore. I didn't actually pick up on that one. Doesn't say it's once per game. Just says it's 1 CP core stratagem. So the thing is with secret missions, our software is slightly wrong, actually it's not, it'll be okay. We actually can make it work, because it starts with the player going second, so if we're equal points and you're going second, you can choose to do a secret mission. If you say, yeah, I'm doing one, I can then choose to do one because we're equal points. Yeah. Otherwise, if I'm winning and you're losing, I have no choice to do one, and you can choose to do one. Okay?
No, equal points, your primary still has to be lower than your opponent's. So you could both be 50-50, in terms of
I'm talking primary. Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right, 100%. And then actions. This is the big change that Joe and I noticed. There's one other little change that we'll talk about, right? And that big change is in deployment. And that big change is if you deploy a super heavy, your opponent then gets to deploy 2 units. A lot of people have missed this, okay? So, where is it? Where does it say it? Deploy armies. If a player sets up a Titanic unit, when it is their turn to set up that unit, they skip their next turn to set up a unit. Okay? So if Joe deploys an Imperial Knight, I get to deploy 2 units at that point afterwards, okay? So the biggest change is on this little page here. It's about actions, okay? Because they've made some changes here that I actually like. I don't like actions. I think this is really, really good.
I love it. I think it's an incredible. I think it's a great choice on their behalf, based on things that we said were stupid.
Yeah. Joe and I had this conversation when we went to the shop for our lunch and dinner before we started the stream. And we have this little weird conspiracy theory that in our tiny little corner of the internet, with our tiny little channel with only 30,000 subs and 49 new members, that they're actually watching and listening. Because a lot of things that are happening are almost exactly what we said. So either we just talk a lot of common sense, or maybe they're actually just watching.
They're watching, which I find interesting because you say terrible things about them.
Stop being terrible then.
Case in point.
Yeah. Right? So actions, okay? I'm going to read this page in its entirety because this is a really important page. Your forces can attempt daring battlefield tasks to turn the conflict in your favour. Some cards feature actions that certain units can perform. Each action states which units can perform it, when it is started and completed, and what the effects of completing it are. Here's some of the big changes. A unit cannot start to perform an action if one or more of the following apply to that unit. It is an aircraft unit. I think that was normal anyway.
Before, yeah.
It is battle shocked. Battle shock now has an impact because you can't do an action, and some secondaries require you to do action.
Yeah, there's a there's a great enhancement for Tyranids in the Vanguard detachment, where when a unit deep strikes in, you roll a dice on a 2+, has to take a battle shock test. So those little units of like scions or whatever dropping in, you go, cool, battle shock test for you. You can't do your action that you've just turned up for.
The next point, I love this one. It has an objective control characteristic of 0. You can't take things like Fenrisian Wolves or fucking Spore Mines to do actions now.
Or 20-point Ripper Swarms.
Yep. If they're OC 0, it can't do an action. It is within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units unless it is a Titanic character. Big Knights can still action whilst you're running around their feet.
Yeah,
that's allowed. Okay,
yeah, because a lot of people got really upset because obviously like their 500-point model had to just sit there like a potato.
Yeah. If it advanced or fell back this turn, so we've got rid of the. So it used to be if it is eligible to shoot, it doesn't need to shoot. And right, we've got rid of that nonsense now because if you've got an assault weapon and you advance, strictly you are still eligible to shoot because you have an assault weapon and you advanced. Now, if you advance or fall back, you cannot do an action.
Yeah.
Simple as that, right? So no longer do you go, I'll just pull this unit out of combat, do an action, charge that one in. Because you can't.
Yeah.
Big change, I like it. And the last one is if it is not eligible to shoot this phase, including units that have already been selected to shoot this phase. So if it doesn't, if it cannot shoot, if the unit cannot shoot, it cannot action. Okay?
Does that include units that don't have guns?
Well, I assume so. It's not eligible to shoot.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I assume so because it's not eligible to shoot.
Yeah, because like Hormagaunts then wouldn't be able to do an action, but Termagants can.
Yeah, I don't know because that got FAQ'd in the previous version, didn't it? And if they don't have guns, they could still do it. All right, but anyway. If a unit starts to perform an action until the end of the turn, that unit is not eligible to shoot or declare a charge unless it is a Titanic character unit, in which case, until the end of the turn, that unit cannot start to perform another action and is not eligible to declare a charge. This is important because I don't know if this is a change or not. I feel like this is a change. I feel like this is a big change because what I noticed people were doing in the past, and it might just be they were breaking the rules, but people will go, this unit's going to start an action, and then they shoot all the rest of their stuff, and they go, I haven't achieved what I wanted to achieve. I'm just going to shoot with this unit now, and the action fails.
Yeah.
Well, this says you are not eligible to shoot now, and you're not eligible to charge now.
Yeah.
So when you make that decision to do an action, right? That's you leaning into doing the action.
Yeah.
Full stop. Okay.
Someone says, does it like making it is literally pointless because like it means that it makes OC 0 units bad. No, it just changes their role, right, within the army. So someone pointed out Death Company at OC 0 unless they're near a chaplain.
Yeah.
Right, but Death Company absolutely clap. They go from a unit that's a bit more versatile to you have one job, murder shit.
So let's talk about some other units that aren't quite so effective as Death Company, right? Fenrisian Wolves, Rippers, etc. Yeah. You could argue that they're now pointless. I don't think they are. The great move blockers, fast units, they can block movement channels, stop units from going down.
I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, if OC 0 Ripper swarms are bad, I was like, but they are cheaper than Termagants and Hormagaunts to put on the table. So you could just create screens to deal with things like Orc Hordes, Bully Boys, Sisters. You're like, cool, chew through this, deal with them.
Here's another way that they're useful, right? Your enemy cannot fall back and declare an action.
Yeah.
So charge them. Tie them up.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, you can't fall back in action now because you're tied up with my OC 0 unit that I don't really care about and it's a throwaway.
Yeah, but the thing is though, you can still use these units for being in table quarters, being in deployment zones. You know, some of the OC 0 units do have abilities that make them useful. Ripper Swarms, when they're in combat with someone, half their OC.
Exactly.
So
I don't think they're completely useless. And there's a couple of occurrences where they might be significantly less useful, but I don't think they're completely useless. And then finally it says, if a unit performing an action makes a move, excluding piling or consolidation moves, or leaves the battlefield, the action cannot be completed. So once you've started your action in the shooting phase, if you pile in or consolidate, you're fine. But if you do any other kind of movement, you're done, right? Victory points for destroying models and units is basically the same. Victory points up to a limit is the same. Discarding cards is the same. It then gives you the deployment card key, and that's that. That's the big changes. Now,
excuse me a moment.
There's the big changes to the mission pack, right? Now, I have famously said for a very long time that actions are for virgins, right? And I have to kind of accept now, I think, They're not going away. I don't like actions. I'm not a fan of actions. But in terms of how they are now working in this new mission deck, it's in probably the best place I think it's been.
It's a big cleanup as well in terms of like the amount of times that someone's gone, they've advanced a unit, and they go, okay, I'm going to action. You're like, how? How are you actually? Oh, I've got one person there with an assault weapon. You're like,
I've got one shuriken catapult in this unit.
Yeah. Now they've gone, cool, you can't advance and do it.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's really good. It's super clean. It also means that you have to kind of think about how you build your armies now as well. Fast-moving battle line units are actually super effective now. I know I said that like Hornmogons die really quickly, but they're movement 10.
Yeah.
They can get to where they need to go quickly.
Yeah.
Like you look at Storm Guardians and normal Guardians, super quick.
Yeah.
Right? Have a good array of weapons on them. Even Harlequin troops are really, really good. Having those things, and people now will need to think about how to use things like outflank and stuff, putting stuff into reserves, and how they're going to use that for a higher advantage on their basic infantry. Instead of sending a large tank or a heavy hitting shooting unit into reserves, you go, I might just put a unit of Orc Boys in reserve, or a unit of intercessors. I think I like it. I'm a big fan.
I think, like I said, I think it's the best. I really fucking hate actions. I can't tell you how much I don't like actions. And one of the things I liked the most when we bought the Maelstrom mission deck back in towards the end of Leviathan was the fact that nothing in there requires you to do an action. Imagine that, right? Imagine 36 secondary objective cards and not one of them tells you to do an action. So I've hated actions since they came in. I've never liked them. I still don't like them. I've always hated them. I don't like the concept of literally putting units in my roster that are just there to perform actions. Yeah. I think it sucks. I don't want to spend time, money, effort on a unit, from both buying to building to painting to get it on the tabletop to go, it's going to do an action. I feel like that really sucks. I want to play with my toy soldiers properly, right? This is opinion-based. I'm sure a lot of people don't have problems with actions. This is definitely opinion-based. I don't like actions. I really don't like actions. That being said, GW seem to have made it very, very clear that actions currently, at least, aren't going away. I'm hoping they do in the future, I'll continue to campaign for it. But I think at the moment they've made it clear they're not going away. What they've done with this mission deck is they've actually, like Joe says, rightly says, they've very much cleaned up how it works. It's less messy. It's cleaner. There's a lot more clarity to how it does, how it completes, when it completes, all that kind of stuff. By putting emphasis on battle line and giving them things where battle line can fall back in action and battle line can advance in action and battle line can action and still shoot in some of those mission rules. They've kind of made battle line more useful, which means I'm hoping we start to see some armies look more like armies in what I would consider armies. Again, it's all opinion based. I'll be clear. I think that looking through the secondaries are clearer now, how they score, when they score. Yeah. They've done a lot of tidying up. This is like Leviathan improved.
Yeah. I think they've taken the first year, learnt a lot of lessons, listened to the community, specifically listened to us, no one else. And they've gone, let's make this a game that people deserve.
I mean,
is it perfect? No. Is it an improvement? Yes.
Arain, I think I said that right. Arain, who's a grey name, by the way, chat, exclamation marks like me, says actions are a comp play thing just to find a way to stop it being a kill-only game. But Maelstrom wasn't a kill-only game.
No.
And this is my point. In 8th edition, we had Maelstrom of War. Maelstrom of War had 36 secondary objectives. 12 of those objectives were doubles. So there were 6 objectives that were doubled to make 12 objectives. And then the rest of them were all unique and different objectives, right? 36 secondary objectives. And not one of them required you to do an action. Not one of them required you to do an action whatsoever. No. When you bought your code, when your codex was released, 6 of those ones that were duplicated got replaced with faction-specific ones that were more kind of unique to your actual faction. So it might be that a Farseer had to do more psychic mastery, or a Tyranid might have to kill more things, I don't know, right? But that's what happened. So you had 36, at that point, when you had your codex, you had 36 unique secondary objectives. 36. That's more than we currently have. Not one of them required you to do an action.
No.
So I think, personally, actions are bullshit, and we don't need them. And unfortunately for GW, they've proven we don't need them because of the Maelstrom of War mission deck.
Yeah. And they're a relatively new thing as well. Like, I just think they're more of a case of like people. I don't know who was complaining, right? Right, but apparently in 8th edition, people were upset about like scoring the game was too killy. Having secondaries that were about killing stuff was bad. So let's just only do hold missions. And then they were like, there's not enough hold missions. We'll do another thing to stop you from doing an action in terms of shooting and killing stuff. You're just going to stand there instead, you know. And I was like, I don't understand why a game that's about killing each other, having secondaries around killing each other, is frowned upon.
But those secondaries are about specifically killing specific things.
Yeah.
Right? So it's still a challenge ultimately.
Yeah.
It still requires you to, like, this particular Killy one requires me to kill a character. This particular Killy one requires me to tear down a giant tank or something.
The one was like kill a unit
This particular
with
Killy
like
one,
3 or more wounds on a model, you know, and stuff like that. But at the time you could pick them. So everyone was just picking all kill ones, right? They could have just done, like now, they're random, they're in the deck, you know. Kill elite units, you know. Kill a bodyguard unit, you know. Stuff like that.
I think complaining in a war game that stuff dies is dumb. I think people at that point are being too precious over their toys. But I hate actions. I've categorically said I hate actions for the longest time. I think this is a significant improvement to the action mechanic from Leviathan. So I think this is a step in the right direction at least.
Yeah.
And that's me just kind of waving the little white flag and accepting that actions aren't going to go away anytime soon. I don't like them, but they're here now.
Yeah.
The other thing to look at, right? Here's the other thing to look at it, right? Is that Joe and I have complained quite a lot, and some people have agreed with us and some people haven't, but we've complained quite a lot that we feel like armies don't really feel like and look like armies on the tabletop.
Yeah.
Right? So now you can't take OC0 units to do actions.
Yeah.
And now you can't take little 3-man units with an assault weapon to do actions. So what's the best way, really, cheaply, to do actions now? Battle line units.
Yeah.
Right? So I feel like you might start to see more battle line units on the table simply because you're going to get access to more units that can do those actions in the future. And if you get the right mission rule, at that point you can do things like action and still shoot with your Legionnaires, for example.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like this is the best version they're going to do so far. I don't like the £20 price tag to the deck of cards, but I do think it's better than Leviathan.
Yeah.
I feel like if this is the only way we have to play for the next 12 months, we will get fatigued by it like we were by Leviathan.
Yeah.
But I think it will take longer for that to happen because I think it's a better deck.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I still think we're gonna get to the end of this life cycle at 12 months and go, we need something new. I still think that's going to happen, but I don't think it's going to happen so quickly.
What I'd like to see is like events tend to run the same 3 to 5 games every single time. People just tend to go, these are the 5 missions we're playing, and everyone just agreed that those were the 5 we're doing. So every tournament you went to, it was always the same. And I think that's what got really boring as well. What I'd like to see is more variety in events in terms of what missions people play. Really change it up. Because when you get...
Adam says, not looking forward to the $45 Canadian pack of cards.
I think I'd like to see more variety at events, because a lot of people go, "Oh, I hate this mission. I got to do this terrain layout, and I got to do this deployment zone, and I'm not keen on that secondary. I just want to do an easier one." And I was like, easier doesn't necessarily mean more fun.
Yeah.
The mission could be more fun. I've in the past gone and said, I don't like this mission because it's too wordy. I don't want to have to read it. That's just me being lazy.
Yeah.
End of the day. Because so I read a mission and now I was like, this is an incredible mission. We should do this. I'd love to, this. I think this is great. And Liam was like, that's the mission from the old deck. They've just changed the name.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Let's just deploy server skills, Joe. It's
Yeah.
the same
And I was like, why don't we ever do that?
We did.
And
I
you're-
played it with Vince.
And you're like, because you don't read them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I'm guilty of that, and I think that should change going forward.
We've had the perfect member drop.
Oh, yeah.
I say perfect. 50 is always perfect. So we're going to say a monumental, huge, massive thank you to Chapter Master Ballsack for 20 gifted memberships, Joe.
Yeah.
20 is insane.
20.
Save it though, John, because tonight we're using an army that he has sent to us on the channel.
Yeah.
Now, it is a heresy army. We are going to be using it as Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah.
It is fucking gorgeous.
Oh, it's stunning.
And it's thank you to Mr. the Ballsack that he sent it to us. The reason why it's the perfect member drop, though, is have you seen how many new members we have now?
Whee! 69. Yeah. So yeah, John said this beautiful army. I've already made my list for it. I got the whole army out earlier. I was very scared unraveling it from bubble wrap because it's very expensive.
Well, it got sent from Europe to us.
Yeah.
From mainland Europe.
There is a Stormbird in the box. John was like, have you checked it? And I was like, I'm too scared to even touch it.
I'll get it out after the stream.
No.
And the Stormbird. Whee!
I don't know, you're quite ham-fisted.
So what are you talking about?
I don't think you would give it the reverence that
I have a delicate touch when I need to, Joe.
I've never seen that ever.
No, you haven't? No, correct. No.
I'll do it in a hermetically sealed room.
Don't worry, John. I'll get it out.
I'm very excited.
I used to have a very, very delicate touch when I worked on Apaches.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That thing's broken. Give me the hammer.
Yeah, because you fix those things with abuse. It's not.
Bang.
Yeah.
It's working now.
You can't do that with this. There's a special video that he sent me where it's like how to put it back in the box because it comes together in so many pieces.
Yeah.
I am not playing Word Bearers, no. I am playing Alpha Legion. I'll be
Alpha
running them
Legion,
in
yeah.
the Alpha Legion detachment.
It's shocking. It's a beautiful army as
It's
well.
beautiful. I've done as best a job as I can in terms of making it function.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I do think that this. I am excited to play this mission deck. Actually, again, I had got bored of Leviathan. I am excited by this one, which is a massive positive, I think. So good job, GW, on that one. I don't like how many actions there are, but it's better at least. I don't like the price tag, but I think it could be fun. I think it could be a lot of fun. This particular mission pack. I still do want to see an alternative way of playing that isn't designed around competitive play. I still want to see a 10th edition focused Maelstrom type game or more open war type games and more ways of playing.
Yeah, I think because they sacked off the open war point system, didn't they? Whatever it's called, casual. I just think
Power level.
Power level.
They didn't sack off power level, Joe. What they did is they took power level, they times it by 10 and called it points. Because you can't take 5 points for a flamer and 10 points for a melter gun anymore. What they did is they went, we got rid of power level because people didn't like it. But actually, we're Games Workshop. What we're going to do is we're going to ram it down your fucking throat and you will accept it. We'll just call it points, but it's basically power level.
I think they need to. Did we get the Crusade mission, the book?
Yeah, I think so.
Right. I need to have a look through these mission books and see what because Crusade in itself looks like an admin nightmare. For someone who doesn't like reading long missions on a card, reading a whole book of tiny little extra rules. But I think there might be some exciting missions in there. I need you to do these.
You're not going back to the bathroom again?
I am, yes. My body is not acclimatizing to health.
Someone says, look at the White Dwarf missions. I would, but White Dwarf's a rip-off, so I won't.
Plus they give you really bad rules.
Yeah. Have you hearted everyone you've said? You have, haven't you? Franks, thank you for the 10. Being a long-time Sisters player, I'm actually more concerned with playing him now because my opponents won't be excited to play against me. Love you guys. This is the problem that I have typically... I'll be honest with you. My favourite faction forever in 40k had been Eldar. I still love Eldar. I still love the Eldar narrative. So I've got a fucking Eldar tattoo on my leg, for Christ's sake. I'm a big Eldar fan. Over the course of specifically 10th, but actually in general the whole time that I've been playing Eldar, my love has slowly but surely been diminishing, and I feel like the nail in the coffin was 10th edition. Because it got to a point where whenever you come to the table with your Eldar army, your opponent just kind of sighs and goes, ugh, I'm playing Eldar. And that is amplified when you put it on stream as well. The streams don't do so well. People don't turn up to watch. They go, ugh, it's Eldar, I don't want to watch Eldar. That's what happens because their power level was mad good comparatively with pretty much every other index, right? So at that point, you've probably noticed I've barely played them recently I want to bring them out again because I like to offer you guys some variety, but I dread bringing them to the tabletop because I feel like people go, oh, it's Eldar again. Brilliant. Right? They have been toned down. In fact, I'd argue they're not great now. They're pretty average, if not poor at the moment. But they now have that stigma. Okay? They now have that stigma. So because that stigma exists, I've kind of fallen out of love with Eldar at the moment. I think they'll still remain one of my favourite armies because, like, narratively at least. But I get what you're saying. I have recently become a Sisters player. When I say recently, when did Degs bring it? When we opened the studio, actually, wasn't it? So in November, Degs bought the Sisters army for us to have and play with. And I was like, I'll learn Sisters, and I started playing Sisters.
Yeah.
And when I started playing Sisters on just the Index, I was like, oh, they're like Eldar. They play like Eldar.
But better.
They're fast. They are glass cannon, but they're nowhere near as busted as Eldar at the time back in November. Now, Eldar have obviously been nerf bat. So they're now a bit shit. Sisters, I think, got to a point where they were probably better than Eldar. I love the aesthetic. I love the models. I really enjoy the rules. I like what things do. I like the variety that they have. I'm the same as you. As a newish Sisters player, I looked at that codex and was like, please don't give me the Eldar experience all over again. I don't want to walk up to a table and someone be like, fuck me, you've got Sisters. I don't want to play this game. Because it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
I was thinking about how to deal with a problem like Sisters. And you just run Flamer Guard.
Well, at least,
Well, you got flamethrowers on everything.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I think the Sisters book is mostly fixed with just points.
Yeah.
I think if you give them slightly less for their points without being crazy, I think that probably fixes it mostly.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get to a point where you get fucking 4 Sisters units on the table. But
Sisters need to become a glass cannon army in terms of
they always
like.
were.
Yeah, but like now they're too quick, and they're too resilient. They either need slowing down or less resilience.
Yeah. Sisters, however, typically get different treatment to Eldar anyway, Frank, so I think you'll be okay. But thanks for attending anyway. Michael, thank you for the 250. Thank you guys for all the awesome content. Thank you for super chatting your first ever time. You beautiful human being. We love you. Crumpets Panda, thank you for 5 gifted memberships. You're a hero. We've already thanked Bullsack for 20. That got us to 69. We're 31 away from a membership target that we don't actually normally have on the Liam and Joe show.
No.
But we are just 31 away, and there is 322 people in chat. So if 10% of you gift 1, then we'll hit the target.
Adam, why did GSC make you sad? I've not read the book.
If 50% of you gift 50, Joe might get a day off.
Yeah.
Maybe one day.
I would love for us to have shown off Gene Stealer Cult, but Games Workshop didn't send us any.
The book is a bit shit as far as I've heard. I don't know. I did hear that there was an army, there was a stream or a game or something where someone took, I think it was like 1,700 points of Sisters against 2,200 points of GSC, and Sisters won.
Yeah, I think I really want to do Gene Stealer Cult because I really like the narrative behind them. I like the idea of them. But one of the weird things that they've imposed on Gene Stealer Cult, which they've not touched any other army with, right? What's that run rule that they gave to all armies in 9th edition? You could have 1 captain, 1 crisis suit commander, 1 hive tyrant, you know?
Yeah. So
Gene Stealer Cult have the rule of you can only have 1 broodlord.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
Which makes sense because he is the leader of that brood.
So
he is the psychic hub around which the entire army sits.
So it makes sense if you apply it to everybody.
Which makes sense if you apply it to everyone. But like when you look at the Tyranid Codex, you can have a broodlord in all 3 Gene Stealer units. Yeah. You can only take 3 Gene Stealer 3 Gene Stealer units in a Gene Stealer Cult army, which again I think is silly. They should be battle line.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's called Gene Stealer Cults. But like, if you can only take 1,
cults.
Yeah. If you can only take 1 broodlord in a Gene Stealer Cult army, I think he should be better than a normal broodlord.
I agree. Is he not? Is he the same?
He's the same.
Okay. Ian, thank you so much for the 5. 0 OC is a good change, but thoughts on how this impacts Tyranids? 0 OC units which modify reduced OC might still be useful based on this. I think we've touched on this already.
Yeah, I think Ripper Swarms, I think you want to take them in 3s and 6s. Because you could take them as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think you take them in 3 or 6.
Good counting, Joe.
I know, right? And you use them as a tar pit unit.
Yeah.
You don't use them for anything other than going, that unit's going to be bothersome to deal with. I'm just going to kind of wrap them up with chaff until something else can deal with them. If you, because they've got 4 wounds each. A Ripper Swarm. Let me have a look. Because if you run them in the invasion fleet detachment, you can give them a 5-up Philnobane. Then they become a little bit annoying to deal with.
Yeah, like Eddie.
Yeah, small, lots of teeth.
Yeah.
Ripper. Hardly know her. Right. So you've got 4 wounds each, right? 4 wounds, right? And a 5-up Vilnobane, right? It's a bit annoying to deal with.
Oh, it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world, but if you put like...
If you roll hot, it's fucking irritating.
Yeah, if you roll really hot against them, they have deep strike as well. So you can if you have little 3-man, 4-man units, you can, what's the unit composition? It's 1 to 3. It's 1 to 3. I thought you could take them in 6s. So you go 3, deep striking them into your opponent's deployment zone, or rapid ingress them. And then in your turn, just bimble them forward and just go and wrap up like a shooting unit at the back. Like if you think like Space Marine Eliminators, the sniper guys, hate Ripper Swarms because they can't punch their way out of them. They're just stuck having to deal with this annoying little chaff unit. Or if your opponent's got stuff on their home objective, just waddle over and be like, you're not as efficient now. And then like Daddy's coming as a Hive Tyrant just swings over and causes issues. I think they still have a purpose. Or if you take 3 units of 3 and then in your turn just slowly move them forwards, blocking people's movement for like bikes and vehicles that can't move through them. Like if you think like a Land Raider gets slowed down by 60 points of Rippers.
Yeah.
Because your opponent then has to shoot at them.
I think they still have a place. And then you've already said it yourself as well, they half the OC of things they're engagement with, which is also massive.
Yeah, so if you, for instance, got a unit of Terminators, which are OC, not the Terminators, if you've got a unit of Warriors, which are OC 1, I think, or G-Stealers, which are OC 1, and there's a bunch of Intercessors on an objective, you go, cool, have some Rippers, you're OC 1 now, and now have some Gene Stealers.
Yeah, I kill a few of you, you kill none of me, I now outnumber you. They're still useful. I think they are still useful, 100%. Yeah. Thank you for the 5 AD. Thank you for the 5 Resident Rum Drinker. Does this mean that the best guard armies will be dropping Lord Solar for a Scion command squad? I think Lord Solar offers too much.
That extra CP is too good.
As well as being able to order, what's it called, platoon and.
I think that you only get you get
3 orders from him.
Yeah.
Right. Here's the thing. Okay. So you have if you know guard chat, you have squadron and platoon units, right? And you can give orders to squadron and platoon units. Okay. Now, officers can issue orders to platoon units, but not squadron. Tank commanders can issue orders to squadron units and not platoon. A tank commander, however, is an expensive potato who can issue a single order to a squadron unit, right? That's all he can do. Lord Solar, however, can issue 3 orders, and he can issue all 3 of those orders all to squadron units. So I think his value, considering he's not too far off the cost of a tank commander, is just too high. I don't see him going away. Yeah. Because you can stick Lord Solar at the back with 3 basilisks and be like, cool, you're all hitting on 2s. I don't think we'll see him go, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for the 5, dude.
Because he has to be your warlord. There's no way around it.
No.
With Lord Solar. He's too much of a force multiplier for the sake of having 3 battle lines, Scion units.
And I'm all about a man on a horse.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. Not even a somber one. Chaotic Failure, thank you for the 5. I don't mind actions, but it always comes down to the choice of doing one for points or doing something cool with your models instead. And that's, I guess, if you think competitively, that's part of the tactical play. That's part of making a decision. That's part of playing the whole game, I guess. I'm the same as you. I'd rather do something cool with my models than do an action.
Yeah.
But what they're trying to do is give people tactical choice. And allow them to make a choice. Do you want to do something cool with your models or do you want to do the action? I think too many people just default to doing the action because it means points, I guess. But you know what? You could still just do something cool with your models. You can just completely ignore actions if you want to play. You're just likely to not score half the secondary objectives and that hamstrings you. That being said, if you do nothing but cool things in your table, your opponent, he can't score points either because he's dead. So, there's that as well.
Gaz B says Tank Commander is now 220 points, which is like 50 points more than it should be.
That's an expensive potato.
It would be worth 220 if it got the abilities of the tank variant that it was, right?
Yeah.
So if it's a Punisher, it gets dev wounds, for instance. It could issue 2 orders, not 1, which is ridiculous in my opinion. And it has to be Ballistic Skill 3.
Has to be 100% has to be Ballistic Skill 3.
Ballistic Skill 4 on your main battle tanks, where they get +1 to hit. Oh, I'm hitting on 3s. When an artillery piece is hitting on 2s from 3 miles away and can snipe out characters.
If you took a Space Marine Captain and you gave it the same stat line as an Intercessor, where it hits on 3s and it's only, you would go fuck it, and it's got the same number of wounds, you go apeshit. You'd be like, this is a fucking Space Marine Captain.
Yeah.
He's got to hit better. He's a captain, right? He's got to hit better. He's got to have more wounds.
Yeah.
He's got to have cooler war gear. Tank commanders don't get any of that stuff.
Yeah. And having the tank commander shoot on death, you're like, it still hits really bad.
Yeah.
Its abilities are still really swingy.
Thank you for the 500, dude. We obviously thank Mr. the Ballsack. We then thank Jeremy for the 1 gifted. We then thank Pie Walker for the 5 gifted. Amazing.
Oh, I love
and
Pie.
then, Joe, your favourite channel on the internet, including this one, we thank Mr. the War Hipster for 5 more gifted.
Thank you, Josh. We love you.
Aww.
I love Josh. He's a
War
good
Hipster.
lad.
That puts us on 80. We're 20 away with 2 minutes to go. We've just got to get 10 a minute and we're fine.
Yeah.
Right? Electman, thank you for the 2. Be the change you want to see, Liam. Eldar are cool. But if bringing Eldar murders my channel, I don't bring them anymore. Because there's no point.
Yeah,
Joe's going to be working on a new Eldar army as part of a narrative campaign we're going to be building, at which point we may end up having access as a channel to a better, well-rounded variety of models for Eldar, because I did buy the Eldar army we're using off of a tournament player, who I love dearly, and it's a great army, but it is kind of tournament focused, which means it's just a bit strong all the time. So, yeah, I don't think I'm going to bring it anytime soon, but thanks for the 2 anyway, dude. Chris Just, thank you for the 10. He says, I don't understand this attitude to OP factions. The behaviour is childish when I hear that in tournaments. It's competitive play, so I know the context. In casual setting, just don't bring the broken part. And that's kind of what we're doing, right? I'm with you as well. I've had the experience, I don't know if you've ever had this actually, I've had the experience a couple of times at a tournament where I've walked up to the table, they've looked at my arm and they've gone, oh, for fuck's sake. I'm like, you're at a tournament. You're at a tournament.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you had that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've had it.
I've also had it where I've walked up to the table, they've gone, oh, for fuck's sake. I've then played them and I've been like, you know what? I'm going to play super friendly, a bit loose, because I want them to have fun. I want people that play against me to have fun. I do want them to have fun, right? So at that point, I'm like, I'll give you a bit of leeway.
Yeah.
I'll be a bit relaxed, and then they proceed to then play like a fucking douchebag.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I mean, I know I've got the broken army, but fuck me, you don't have to play like a knob, do you?
There is a person worse than that, and I've had this happen to me a few times, and I don't understand it, but I do understand it, right? Is when someone comes to you, this is my first tournament.
Oh,
I haven't played many games of 10th edition. I don't really know what I'm doing, right? So you play a bit more like, I want this person to have a good time. Like, if you come up against someone who's never played before, you're like, well, I'm not going to play as hard because I want them to have a good time. And then they proceed to push your poop in, right? And you're like, you clearly know what you're doing. You've played this night. You know everything about this game. Why did you lie to me? It's like, you've lied to me because you knew that I would take it easy on you so that you could take advantage of that. That's more annoying than someone being upset if you're running a turbo army.
Yeah.
But it's like you don't like. This is a terrible example, right? Right. People don't turn up to a track and be like, "Oh, Mo Farah's here. Ugh, screw that guy. He can run better than I can."
Yeah.
You know, it's like being upset that like, oh, I've joined the Premier League. Oh, I've got to play Manchester this weekend. I'm going to be really salty towards them because they're better. You know. It's a really obscure thing to do. If you went to a narrative tournament and someone turned up with 3 crisis commanders and 3 max squads of crisis suits, you'd be like, although narrative, it's a bit of a dick list.
Yeah.
You know? I think it's all about being aware of your surroundings.
It is all about being aware of your surroundings, absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. I think at tournaments, I don't see why people get upset by it. But I also do agree, like, unless you and your mate are literally locked in an arms race with each other, in which case you start to power up, that's fine. But then you kind of know what you and your mate are doing because it's what you and your mate do all the time. Otherwise, if you're playing friendly local gaming, if you're right, I hear this all too often, and Elect Man said, be the change you want to see, right? I want you all to start thinking about this kind of stuff. Hopefully none of you do this. But I've heard about this all too often, okay? All too frequently. I went to my local gaming store, my friendly local gaming store, my FLGS. I went to my FLGS for a friendly pickup game.
Yeah.
Right? I proceeded to get tabled in 2 turns.
Yeah.
Like if you're the individual who goes to your local gaming store with the most powerful fucking army you can build out of the most broken codex currently in existence in the edition, go home and have a long hard look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Right? A long hard, because
maybe they just got maybe they got a really oppressive boss and they're like, I need to dominate someone.
It's just fucking tragic though, because what you're gonna do is the reason why I hate it so much is I've had too many people that have had that experience, been like, yeah, I pack my models away, I'm not interested in playing anymore. What? Why? If you go and behave like that at gaming stores, you're just putting other people off of the hobby.
I think it's all right if your opponent knows that that's happening in advance.
That's not what I'm talking about, though,
yeah,
Jay.
and that's what I'm saying. It's fine if that happens, but it's not okay to be like, I've never played this person before, I'm going to show them who's boss. You know?
Yeah.
I'm going to really dominate this person. I don't get it.
Thank you, Chris, just for 5 more. The broken part of a book, when Eldar were broken, Aspect Warriors list was quite okay. Same with Sisters. Just don't bring 30 Arcos in Club Night. Arco Flagellants, you're talking about, yeah. If you go Penitent Host and you go all Arco Flagellants, all Repentia, stand by tonight, Jay.
You've only got like 3 Arco Flagellants.
I don't know what I've got in that box. I'm going to have to look. I don't think I want to run the Penitent. So I do want to run the Penitent Host.
I think you should run it.
I don't think I should because everyone else is doing the Penitent Host.
I think you should run it to prove a point.
I think I might run the Everything's Assault and +1 Strength.
In an entire army of that's the same but different, you know.
Yeah, I'll have a look. But everyone else that I've seen so far is running.
Are you also gonna pick the mission where you can advance and still action? Is that the one you're gonna pick as well? The mission.
No. Elect Man, thank you for the 2. 3 heavy bolters. Oh, fucking John on Tuesday, honestly. Zedon, thank you for the gifted membership. It just everything had 3 heavy bolters. Everything had fucking 3 heavy bolters on it all the time. Everything. Apart from the super heavies, which had 5 twin heavy bolters. Anyway, thank you, Xenon, for the gifted. Thank you, Meat Squadron, for the gifted. Put us on 82 of the finest memberships for today's stream.
Good egg.
Anywho, tonight at 7:30, we're going to showcase this new mission deck. We're going to play it for you people live on air, obviously. And we will be playing it for the foreseeable future. For the next couple of weeks at least, we'll probably be exclusively playing the munition deck as we get used to the new secondaries. We try out some of the new deployment maps to try out some of the new missions, okay? So get excited for that stuff. We have got Sisters versus New Sisters versus Newish Chaos Space Marines tonight. They're going to be Alpha Legion versus, I don't know what I'm building yet, but we're going to be playing and showcasing the new Sisters. I can't showcase the new Genocide Cult for 2 reasons. Firstly, we don't have a Genocide Cult army, and secondly, they're fucking dog shit, so why would I showcase it? So there's that.
You made me play AdMech.
Tomorrow, we had an AdMech army.
I suppose, yeah.
Tomorrow, I didn't make you. Oh, I did make you. Tomorrow at 8:30, we have another 40k After Dark stream. Thank you so much for your amazing...
You're talking about them?
No, just for tonight. Oh. That's why I said tonight. You don't listen, do you? You never listen.
Why the fuck would I?
You never listen.
No.
Why would you? So you don't embarrass yourself on stream. Thank you so much for all of your incredible support. Thank you for all the gifted people. You are amazing. We love you very dearly. Hopefully you're excited for tonight. Hopefully you'll come and join us and enjoy the game at 7:30. I now finally need a wee, so we need to go.
Yeah.
And then we have a call with someone.
Yeah.
And then we have dinner. I've actually got to get ready. We've actually got to get ready for the stream. We haven't even built the table yet.
I was too busy playing with pretty models.
Yeah. Yeah. If you haven't already, let us know what you think about this new mission deck and some of the changes in the comment section below after the stream credits have finished. But thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, have a wonderful time.